My name is Pat Randolph-Quinney. I'm a reader in biological and forensic anthropology, and my main area of research is the forensic application of human anatomy and identification, but also I dabble in lots of other areas as well to do with human evolution and history of disease, that kind of thing. I've written several articles for the conversation, and they vary. The first one I ever did was to do with our own research into the earliest evidence for fossil cancers and tumours in the human lineage, and it's gone as far as things like looking at disease and infection processes in dinosaurs, so Gur Arg. But the kind of greatest impact has actually been remarking on other people's research. So one of my areas of interest is human evolution and where we come from as a species. And I've been lucky enough to comment on a couple of major articles for the conversation which deal with putting the importance of certain discoveries in context. So stone tools from India, stone tools of behaviours from Central Africa and East Africa. So writing for the conversation starts off as an interesting experience. The biggest difference is that you're writing for a different audience. It's not an strictly academic audience. You're writing for the general public and the informed layperson. So the writing itself has to be very concise, has to be understandable, and that's quite different from the kind of really dense, very often turgid scientific writing. So it's all about the audience. The process of writing and editing the conversation, again, it starts off being quite awkward. It's not what you're used to. So the first article, as I said earlier on, we dealt with fossils and cancer. And that was a little bit slow to get going. But once you kind of got through that, you actually realise what it's doing. You're actually having a conversation. And the writing process worked with very good editors who are journalists, not necessarily scientists. And what they're doing is they are making sure you communicate, not that you have an adversarial peer review as you do with a journal. So the process is all about making sure that you get the ideas across in the most effective way. Well, the impacts from the writing for the conversation have been enormous. Part of that comes down to basically getting your name out there, to having people recognise you. So for instance, the article on Indian stone tools generated over 170,000 reads within the first few days. And from that, there was an article in the newspaper which has about a circulation about 250,000, and people start having conversations with you. So they put comments in the articles. You get comments on social media, and people start following your research feeds and social media feeds, that kind of thing. So the impact, I think, is great in terms of public engagement. It also gets other researchers who aren't necessarily in your field talking to you as well. So I've had impact from colleagues who want to do research with me, want to collaborate, that kind of thing. Okay, so the benefit from writing the conversation, aside from kind of collaboration and engagement, it's maybe a better writer. The single biggest take-home from writing the conversation is that my scientific writing is actually better now. I've gone through a process where you look at the articles that you write and you look at the journal articles and you think, okay, well, how do I make that more understandable? Or is that too opaque? How's that writing process going to be to the person that's actually reading this article? So the single biggest benefit for me has actually made me a better scientific writer.